Hola, hola. So let's start this video. I first want to start with the tips. Um, I'm making this video not to discourage you to come to New York City. Like, I want you to come to New York City, visit you know, visit. There's a lot of things to do, see, and try out here. So I'm just making this video because I want you to be careful. I want you to be aware. And also, I don't want you to experience what I had experienced in the past. So I'm just gonna start off with the tips. They're very simple and it's short, and then finally it's gonna be story times. I'm gonna give you guys two story times that happened to me while waiting for the train and on the train. So let's start. I'm just gonna give 6 tips, and like I said, it's not gonna be a lot. It's just going to be very simple and just for you could be aware. First things first is when you are on the train, on the bus, or just walking around, don't just look at your surroundings. Also listen, because it's like you could look at something and something else could be happening just by you hearing. So it's always good to, like, if you're going to be on your headphones, put the music from a medium to low volume, just because you need to actually pay attention to what's going on. If you're on the train, maybe the conductor is trying to say something, to give you the heads up. Or even on the bus, sometimes they might skip your stop or something. Just always pay attention. That's very important. 2 is if you're going to be buying the Metro card, I always recommend to buy the weekly Metro card, but to each their own. Everybody's different. But for me, if you're gonna come visit NYC and you're only gonna be here for a week or 5 days, it's always good to buy the 7-day unlimited, just because it expires in 7 days. So you could use it a lot of times in one day, and then the next and the next. Why? Because it expires in 7 days. So it doesn't matter how many times you use it in one day. It's still gonna expire in 7 days. That's 2. 3, I always recommend for you to always pay attention to what you're doing, but at the same time, check your surroundings. So if you're gonna, please don't stay stuck on your phone. Always check to see what's around you. Check who's coming in the cart, leaving. And also, if you're using Google Maps, because that's what I usually do when I go elsewhere, and sometimes I use it when I'm here in the city. Use it, but always pay close attention to, like, the stops. So like that, by the time your stop is here, everything is ready. The only thing you gotta do is get up and not worry about anything in your pockets and stuff like that. It's better for you to just keep things in one place, so like that you don't have to be focusing on, oh, I put this here and this side, and I put this in the other side, and just the more simpler, the better. 4, it doesn't matter what time you go out, because a lot of people be like, oh, a lot of things happen at nighttime, a lot of things happen in the daytime. Things happen at any time. It doesn't matter what time it is. If something's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. We're not fortune tellers. We don't know what's gonna happen today, what's gonna happen tomorrow. Just be safe and be aware of your surroundings. If you're gonna be planning something, if you want to go to, for example, if you want to go to 34th Street, I'd rather you just have a plan for you could see, like, where you want to start off. You understand? For example, if you want to go to 34th Street, it's better if you start at 42nd Street. From 42nd Street, you could just walk. You don't have to take the train to 34th Street. And then from there, you could do a little bit of shopping. You could go to K-Town. And then you could continue, walking. I always prefer people to walk. So like that, you could, like, look at the surroundings, look at other things. And also, like, there's a lot of hidden gems that just by you walking around and you just looking at different places and going different directions, you could find things that you'd be like, oh my god, if it wasn't for me just walking, I would have never found this place. 5, I don't understand why people pay so much attention to, like, Manhattan, don't get me wrong, Manhattan, that's where everybody goes. But you also got to understand, if you're coming to visit, don't just focus on Manhattan. You have Brooklyn, you have Queens, you have the Bronx. A lot of people be like, oh, but the Bronx is bad. You in NYC. At this point, seeing how things are going in NYC, the whole NYC, is not, you hear, when I look at the news, and I try not to watch the news so much, and even when you open your social media app, there's a lot of things that's going on. You hear things that's happening in Manhattan, Brooklyn, Bronx, Queens. It's not just the Bronx. I always tell people this: if you're gonna come to NYC, you also have to visit the other boroughs. You gotta visit Brooklyn. There's a lot of places in Brooklyn, beautiful places in Brooklyn. The food over there is good too. Visit Queens. Oh my God, Queens, so much delicious food over there. Like, I love it. And you also have the Bronx. Man, the Bronx, we have yummy food. Like, you need to come visit. In the Bronx, we also have Little Italy. We also have, there's a lot to do here as well. It's not just Manhattan. So if you're gonna come visit, like I said, you could do 2-3 days in Manhattan, and then the other days you could go one day to Brooklyn, the other day to Queens, and then the Bronx. Or you could do, 3 in one day. It all depends on you and what time you get up and how you want to put your schedule and things like that. But I always recommend people, don't just focus on Manhattan, because personally I feel like a lot of people, they focus more on Manhattan because of the movies, and there's so much there. But just like there's so much in Manhattan, there's also a lot of things to do in Brooklyn, in Queens, and the Bronx. And finally, number 6 is always, like, prepare yourself. What I mean by that is, don't try to see how much you're going to be spending on the day, and don't go over, because I'm telling you right now, like I said, there's so much things to do and see, and there's also a lot of free things in NYC. Try to figure out and try to see what free things you could do, what places you could, like, see. There's a lot of art galleries. There's a lot of museums. I think the Bronx Zoo here in the Bronx, I forgot what day is free. I think it's Wednesday or Thursday. I'm not sure, but Google it. Try to see what day is free for you could come. Like, there's a lot of things that's free that you could do, that you don't have to be spending a lot of money. So yes, don't get me wrong, NYC, it is expensive, but yes, there's also things that you could do for free. You just have to, like, search for it, because there's times where there's a lot of people that put it out there for you could, like, know, and then you just gotta, like, figure it out on your own and do your own research. So that's what I recommend. Now, story time. So this happened to me while I got off the train. This happened a few years ago already. I wasn't ready to talk about it, and I was contemplating a lot about sharing it, but in my head I was just like, I've been, like, thinking so much about it for weeks, and I just want to share it because it happened to me, and I don't want this to happen to anybody. And do not make my mistakes as well. That's why I gave the tips. So this is when I first started a job that I had in the past. I was working at a bakery. I was already on the train, and I had to transfer to another train, and I already knew the station that I was at. I was just like, I don't have to, like, Google anything, because I already know this area. So I got off the train. I don't remember if I was on my phone, but I was just dozed off. I wasn't really paying attention to my surroundings, and I was just, like, walking, and I stopped because I was like, oh, let me wait for my train. And I wasn't looking at my surroundings. I wasn't paying attention. I wasn't, I was just, like, I forgot what I was doing. I think I was on my phone, or I was just, like, thinking a lot. Someone threw liquid on my face. And at first I didn't know what it was. It was on the side. And by the time I turned around, they just ran. I saw, like, their shadow. They ran very fast, and my train was already there. So instead of going to the hospital, calling the police, making a report, I just got on the train, because I was thinking about the job. I was just like, I just got this job. I don't want them thinking that I'm missing days just to miss it. I was thinking more about how I started this job and I don't want to look bad. So I went to the job, I threw water on my face and it started burning even more, and that's when I found out it was pepper spray. So it was hurting me a lot, and like I said, I didn't call the cops. I made no report. I didn't go to the hospital. I just clocked in and started working, and I was in pain for a few days. And I think one of the co-workers that used to work there told me like, hey, don't put water, put milk instead. And I was just like, milk? And I tried it and it helped a little. So yeah, it took me like a couple of days to tell my friends and stuff like that, because I felt like it was my fault. I wasn't paying attention to my surroundings. I wasn't listening or looking. I wasn't just, I don't know what I was doing. I was supposed to be paying attention and I wasn't. And I still blame myself, because I was just like, that's what happens when I don't look at my surroundings. So yeah. And it used to bother me a lot, and now it doesn't, because it's just like, look, with the things that's going on in NYC, you just got to be careful. The second story is I was followed from all the way to from Manhattan to the Bronx. This is when I got off. I worked overnights. The bakery where I was working at, I was working overnights, and I finished with my job. I was just like, okay, I'm done. I was tired. I was just like, okay. I got on the train, and for some reason, like, the train was empty. So I was just like, okay, let me just wait. Once it hits 42nd and 34th Street, that's when it gets busy, because that's, the two main stations where people get on and get off. So it stopped at 42nd, and people started coming in, and I'm like, okay. And there was this guy. He didn't look like he was gonna get on the train, but we made eye contact. Like, I glanced, and then I looked the other way. Once he looked at me and I looked at him, for some reason, like, I saw him coming in the train, and he got on the train and he tried to get my attention. Like, literally, I was just sitting down. He got in front of me. He was doing something, and I was ignoring him. So I got up, went to the other seat. He went to the other seat where I was at, and I was just like, okay, there's nobody here. Let me go to the other cart. So I got off the train, and I got to the other cart. He got off the train and got to the other cart too, and this is when I started, like, telling myself, he's not following me. He's not doing this. Not now. Not now. Maybe he's going to get off at the next stop or whatever, but no. I kept telling myself that, because I was just like, I was by myself. It was super early in the morning. It was like 4 or 5 o'clock. I was just like, no. This guy kept trying to get my attention. So I got up, sat at the other seat. He got up, sat at the other seat, like across from me. So I got up and I went to the other seat. He got up, and that's when I looked at him, and I was just like, stop. I gave him a look, and he got up and he sat at another seat where he could, like, actually look at me. He was like across. So I was here, he was here. He just wanted to, like, see me. And I was, like, mad and frustrated, and the whole ride from Manhattan to the Bronx, he was doing this. Like, he kept looking at me like this, and he wanted to get my attention, and I was just like, no. Like, I know he wants to get my attention, and it's not like, oh, I had something that fell on the floor or anything. Like, I just always make sure that I don't keep a lot of stuff in my pocket, and I just try to keep everything small and simple. So, like that, if I get up or it's time to, like, run, nothing falls. And he just kept trying to get my attention, and I was just like, no. Finally, I got up to see what stop it was, but I honestly wanted to see if he'll get up and get out the train. He got up when I got up, and then when he saw that I wasn't getting off that station, he sat right back down, and he kept looking at me. And this is when I was just like, yeah, this guy's following me. So finally, when my stop was here, I got off. He got off with me, and this time there was a lot of people. So literally when I got off, he got so close to me. He was like this. And I stopped and I looked at him, and he stopped and he looked at me. I don't know if he was okay up here. I'm not 100% sure, but I started walking again. And this time, like, there were people, but he tried to get as close to me as possible. And I looked at him and I stopped and I was just like, no, enough. Like, I was just like, no. And I left him there and I started speed walking. I booked it downstairs and I zigzagged through all the people. And I left. And once I saw that he wasn't behind me, I was relieved. I was in a little corner and I looked to see if he was looking for me. He literally was coming down the stairs and he was looking from like left to right. And that's when I was just like, no. Like, all this time on the train, I was just like, he's not following me. He's not. Like, literally he was. Like, I moved to another cart. He moved to the other cart as well. I moved seats. He was moving seats. And I couldn't make no excuses. And it bothered me because I was nervous. I was scared. I was mad. I was just happy that he didn't follow me all the way to my building, or to, nothing else happened. So, and no, I did not call the cops. I did not make a report. I did not tell nobody till like, I think the next day when I went back to work. I told one of my coworkers, and they was just like you really have to be careful. I have more stories, but I just wanted to share those two. The first story, I wasn't paying attention. I was just not focusing and not looking at my surroundings. The second story, that's when I paid more attention to my surroundings and I started looking at the people that were in the cart. If I see that there's no one in the cart, I try to go where there is people in the cart. So like that, I'll feel okay. Because like I said, I had an incident, not an incident, but I was by myself and someone was getting closer and closer. Mind you, they were at the other cart, and I don't understand why, but nothing happened, thank God. So just be careful, be aware of your surroundings, always pay attention, use more your eyes and your ears when you hear certain things. If you feel in your gut feeling, hey, this is not right, just get up and and move. Ask for help. Don't stay quiet. You understand? Like, there's people that they're willing to help. So yeah, those are my two stories that happened to me here in NYC. And it wasn't that long ago. It was like maybe like 2-3 years ago. And do I have more stories? Yes, I do, but I'm not going to share them. I feel like those two stories are good enough. So yeah, just please be careful. And if you're going to be here in NYC, if you're going to visit NYC, have fun. Take lots of pictures, go to different places to try out new food, but always just be careful with your surroundings. And if you need help or something happens, please, be alert and ask for help, and call the police if you have to. But don't doze off and don't pay too much attention to your phone. So if you made it this far, thank you. I'll see you guys at the next video. The next video is going to be about, if you're going to be traveling, and the budgeting and things like that I feel like is important as well. So thank you so much. Like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.